That is peaceful. Wow.
Good day, folks. I
Yeah.
hope you're well.
Are you in Tranquility Land?
Always, man.
Okay. Okay.
That's how I roll.
That's
I'm a
good.
very calm person generally.
Sure. Sure. Well,
Yeah,
and I can see from the light through that window behind you. It's nighttime where you are, and
it is.
I'm in a dark cavern here. And
Yes, you're
I'm kind of floating around like in one of those salt tanks, but I'm not in the
oh.
water. I'm
So
upright.
tell me about that. I know you've tried it.
Yeah, a
And
few. I
I
think three.
want
I've
to
done it
so bad.
three times. Three
Wow.
times, and I
Wow.
really hyped it up too much in my mind because
Okay.
of a movie, I think from 1980 called Altered States.
Okay.
You'll have to just Google that with John
Right.
Hurt. But yeah, it was. I thought I'm going to be in this place that will be pitch black. You can't even see
Right.
your hand in front of your face. I'll be
Right.
floating in utter silence. And it wasn't pitch black, it wasn't complete silence, but I was definitely floating in like 8 billion tons of salt water. And
Wow.
you're only about this far off the ground too. So you're not really
Like
kind of,
an inch.
yeah, like if you put your elbow down, you're like, "Brr," okay. So you just gotta like just so yeah,
Okay.
I hyped it up too much, but it
Right.
was nice. It was
Huh.
nice. One
I heard you
caveat,
shouldn't.
let
Mhm.
me one caveat. If you're gonna
Yeah.
do this, and you probably will, if you have
Yeah,
any
I
kind of
want to.
rashes,
Right.
and then you get in 8 billion tons of salt water, you could have an owie on your hands. And
So so you're telling me not to shave my legs before I go
please,
dunk myself in
please
salt.
never do that. Never
Right.
do that.
I heard that is ouchy for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and not even Dr. Fauci or Ouchie. It's just, yeah, it's wild. Yeah. So
Well,
the world
well,
doesn't
I
know
do
this.
want to try it.
You should
I
try it.
think it'd be great like to just it brings you almost in like a meditative state, right? Where it's just you and your thoughts, you and your head, and maybe your brain seems like it's bigger than it really is, just because that's all your sensory, that's all you're feeling, right? It's just what's in your noggin between your ears.
Yeah,
So it's like you and yourself, and
yeah,
how are you going to deal with that? I really want to try that one day.
that's right. And you could pump in music too. So, but it sort of, I always seems like it kind of distracts the. If you just
Yeah,
with your, just listen to your breathing and your
right.
heartbeat, and but
Now
I'm not very
I
mystical, so
I have a question for you.
yeah.
Did the marching of the ants stop in your head?
Ah, see, it's March of the Crabs.
Oh,
I know what you're talking about. But marching of
dude,
the ants, yeah, but yeah, no,
the
yeah. In
ants
that
go.
moment, I did not have like a metal riff in my head.
Wow,
It was almost like your tranquil music when we started this
right?
podcast tonight. And so
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
you got to just try it, and
Mhm.
you should try it, and then we'll talk about it.
All right, sounds good. I
Yeah,
look forward to it. I heard some people are kind of afraid of it because they're like, "Oh, do I really want to be in just with me and myself and no distractions?" Like it's a little scary. I look forward to it myself.
yeah,
I just want to just rest and just kind of, you know what, I would probably talk to God
yeah,
and
100%, 100%.
meditate on something.
I think nowadays people are too afraid of too many things. I
Yeah.
just say, just put on your big, or actually take off your big boy pants and
Oh
jump in the
yeah.
tank. So that's how, or
Right,
your big
right.
boy briefs. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Interesting.
I noticed that tree has no lights on it. Is this like after
Yep.
Christmas? After
Yeah, it's
Christmas
just my
message.
evergreen tree now. It's my evergreen.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
still a great symbol.
yeah. And what is the symbol? Evergreen,
Evergreen,
everlasting life.
everlasting life, strong, virile, regenerate.
Man,
Resurrection every
you
moment
got
of the
some
day.
good adjectives. I like
I
that.
like that. And it's they're strong and they're straight. They're usually really straight.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, take that
This is
whatever way you
fake.
want.
Yeah. This is fake. But it looks
Oh,
awesome.
okay.
Maybe one day I'll do this outside next to a real evergreen.
Yeah. Just make sure you get one of those fuzzy windsock things on the mic because
I
that's
got one.
annoying.
Look.
Woo, nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fozzie Bear. I love it.
Yeah. So, funeral stuff. How was your day in the funeral world?
It was interesting. I kind of watched you on a closed circuit television caring for a family in a private gathering, and
Hmm.
which was like just unfolding as it should without very much planning, which I love that. People came
Right.
in, I don't know what they were even expecting. They were coming to get together, and you
Hmm.
kind of led them in some moments of someone they hadn't seen in a long time, but
Right.
came in with that awkwardness, and
Yeah.
they left laughing. That's awesome.
Right.
And they all went to
And
lunch.
yeah, they did. They left. They left hugging each other, which
Yeah,
at first you can tell there was a little bit of, you know what, we haven't seen each other in a few years. We're not really comfortable. And in the person who passed, there was some dynamics, as we often say, because you know what, we do deal with families, different families every single day, and that is one thing that we deal with a lot of is what we call dynamics,
yeah,
and there's dynamics within family situations. So, like every family, this family had dynamics, and the person who passed, maybe burn some bridges along the way, or whatever it might have been. And but these folks were here to remember the good that he had done, the things that inspired them from his life.
yeah.
So yeah, it turned out to be a really nice service. And
That's cool.
I always invite the family to share, because I told them right off the get-go, listen, I'm not going to pretend to know him,
Yeah,
because I don't,
that's
and
always
I
wise.
don't. Yeah, you know what? But there's some funeral
Uh,
officiants or clergy that
Celebrants,
they're,
whatever that
yeah,
fancy
celebrants, and
word
and
is.
then they pull out the obituary and they start reading the obituary. It's like you're reading something
I
that
noticed he
the
died on a Wednesday. Yeah.
yeah, born on 48 and blah blah
Yeah.
blah, and it's like you're reading what they wrote. Why are you reading that to them? Like, eh, oh, I never enjoy that part.
Sure.
but but I didn't do that, and I just said, you know what, I'm not going to pretend to know your loved one here. Why don't
Right.
you tell me and tell and share each stories with each other? And then so they all did, and they were crying and sharing stories, and different things that they loved about him, and things that inspired them. Is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
As
and
it should be. Those that can pull it together and do that, because sometimes, as you know, some people they can't seem to even muster that, but
of course, yeah,
when they can, they always come out better. Always.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I shouldn't say always. I'm sure there's going to be a time we might even be together that it ends up in a fist fight, and
I
we're like,
have had
oh,
that.
why did we encourage them to get together? But you know,
You know what, though, I am going to tell you something, and some people listening even might say, like, "Yeah, I can't have so and so because I'm going to throw a chair at that guy," or whatever it might be.
yeah.
And generally, it goes better than expected.
Oh yeah. Oh, for
That's
sure.
that. I've had families hire private security
Sure.
actually to stand guard because so and so is going to come and that person is going to cause trouble. And I always say, you don't need private security. It's um 99.99% of the time, it's totally fine.
Sure.
And sure, of course, okay, you don't like each other, whatever, but and you might even throw a couple side eyes at each other, but that's about it.
Nothing like I've heard of some places the staff will have like a just a small tranquilizer dart that they can kind of shoot at
Love
the
it.
offender and just
Love
drag
it.
them out and put
Is
them
that
back in their
corporate?
car.
Is that corporate funeral homes?
Yeah, probably. I've heard that could be probably a rumor. Us small independents have these terrible hear these terrible rumors, but yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was nice. Today was a day of that,
Yep.
and kind of cleaning up the loose ends that happen after funerals and
Right. What does that
burials.
look
And
like?
what's that?
For people who don't know, what is a loose end
Well, a
afterwards?
loose end is someone's died. We've initiated things, but we haven't got back together with the family after
Okay.
whatever they needed to happen, and then they're going to get the paperwork, and they're going to get some direction, and they're going to get, they continue to get educated by funeral directors saying, okay, your next steps are A, B, and C, and you're going to make your way all the way down to X. But yeah, people when they go through that initial kind of, oh my goodness, okay, Uncle George has died. Oh my goodness. And then we help
Right.
them for the first leg of the journey. Then everything
Mhm.
calms down. We just come through Christmas. So Christmas happens. people have amnesia, and then, oh yeah, we have to come
Mhm.
back and do some stuff, don't we? And so yeah, loose ends are. It's nice because loose ends they all get tied up, and
Right.
then people still leave and do the tough work of
Right.
being survivors and being executors. But
Yeah, I executors apparently some pretty tough work.
yeah, yeah, or can be,
Right,
to
right.
do it right, but all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. You and
yeah,
I,
and then
did some
mhm.
marketing, not marketing. We did some content creation in a
Yeah,
McDonald's.
right?
So yeah, we have interesting days as a,
Yeah,
small kind of. We're not a techie company, but we're definitely social media savvy. We're constantly kind of create interesting,
mhm,
informative things that we can bring to you, the public,
mhm.
and kind of keep your attention, keep you educated, keep you asking questions.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Because I guess everyone I think has questions,
Yep.
and some of the times they don't even know the questions they have yet.
Yeah.
But if we hear these questions all the time, so we're able to say put out a question in public, like today. Excuse me, I have a little bit of cough. Today, there was a few little short clips we did, and I was just saying, listen, like hey, us at Life Transitions, we don't always wear three-piece suits, you know?
Right.
I mean, in all my years of funeral service, that's what I did. I wore a three-piece suit every single day.
Sure.
And that was just my little one of the little videos today that we created and put out. And it's like, why don't we do that? And it was just a 30-second clip, but it gets people like, oh yeah, I did feel that way when I walked into a funeral home, or
Sure.
yeah,
Because
like
most people don't walk around dressed like that in their regular life. But
actually, this is something funny because we just finished making those videos,
yeah,
and we get back to the funeral home. You're still in your jacket because we had a funeral going on. So you had your jacket, you had your tie.
yeah,
Somebody walked in,
I
and they're like,
know.
"Oh,
I know
I'm
because I met them
underdressed in
before.
here."
Yeah, I met them before, kind of in our business casual. They're like, oh man, what's hot? What? Yeah.
Yeah, that
Say, oh
was
yeah, they'd
funny.
never
So
seen me in a suit before. They thought they were in trouble or something.
they came in expecting that, relaxed, comfortable James, and they got this funeral director James 3.0. Look at him go.
Now I didn't have my hat top on, so that they knew that was
Do you
inside
mean
joke.
top hat? Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Sometimes there's bloopers,
Yeah,
and you know what?
that's right.
We keep on going. So,
Well, with the it's funny with you mentioned bloopers. I debated this, but sometimes people don't realize that. Oops, sorry, I'm losing track of things on the screen here. Uh, we're
James is
new.
trying to multitask. Uh-oh.
I know it's terrible because you got to be careful what you click on because all of a sudden you could be that, and it comes
Wait,
so
wait, wait.
fast.
Do that again.
It just comes so fast you don't even know what's happening. It's one of. I know it was the chair. Okay, of course
Okay.
it was the
So
chair.
I hope the mic and everything picks up this audio. That was a beautiful blooper of me adjusting my chair, and it sounded like I ripped one.
What it's
Uh,
it just sounds like a chair to me. It's so it's good.
Beautiful.
We're the real deal. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have real things and real bloopers. But
Hey,
uh,
yeah, life
so
happens. Life happens.
you did the we're not super dressy all the time one, but you also
Yeah.
um, I talked about one about a work life balance, and you said we
Yeah,
should talk about that. We should explore that a little bit
I
if
think
we ever
so.
do another episode of the podcast. Work
Yeah,
life
no,
balance of a funeral director. What's that look
you
like?
inspired me when you were talking about that. It's something that I've had to deal with. I think especially since married life,
Mm,
and even more so with children. Um, and I'm involved here at the church, and
hmm
I've got my different hobbies and different things I like to do. I have friends that I want to hang out with, and family, and so there's so many things in our life. And I guess what, I would love to further my education, and I'm always working on grief content, and the list goes on and on and on.
right,
How do we do all of that and not burn out
right.
and not be exhausted? And I think part of it's because I have ADD. So, well, I'm undiagnosed, really, to be
Or
honest.
whatever. Yeah, self-diagnosed, and probably
Yeah.
self-medicated too.
You know what? There was no medication. when I was growing up, my dad didn't really believe in ADD, so it was just like he never sits still. That was it. I could not sit still. I was always fidgeting, and had a really hard time concentrating. Um, but anyways, neither here nor there. Let's say. Why I thought about that was because I was just listening to a podcast of a psychologist talking about ADD and other mental health issues, as they say, or
Right.
and he was saying they're actually these issues um, are opportunities because each of these issues many times has a very good strength to them.
Sure.
And that's what made me think about the whole ADD thing, because he said people with ADD oftentimes have a huge capacity to do a lot of stuff, and they have
Right.
tons of energy. They just
Sure.
keep on going.
And then you can put all kinds of, positive or negative spins on that. Do a lot of stuff
Right.
means maybe they have a whole bunch of unfinished stuff,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Because they
a lot
get
of stuff
distracted.
gets started. With the
Yeah.
work life balance there, you as a true ADD guy or self diagnosed, you kind of
Yeah.
went down like a laundry list of things: family, friends, hobbies, boom,
Hmm.
boom, boom. The older I know, I got about 20 years on you, I think, something like that, or more, like living on the planet.
Right. 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 Right.
Uh, and I
I'll
found like,
catch up one day,
you
James.
will.
I will catch
You'll
up one
someday be
day.
older than me. It'll be
You're
weird.
gonna you're gonna die, and I am gonna so catch up.
The older I've gotten, because I remember at one point, kind of had a full time funeral director job, side hustle,
Right.
married, kids, busy at church, doing other stuff, da 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 da, and really being forced to think, okay, I've gotta prioritize these things.
Hmm. Right.
But hanging out with the guys, less important than time with my wife, time with my
Right.
kids. And so
Yeah.
the older I've got, some things I've just had to let go of, and be
Hmm.
okay with that too.
Right.
But sort of like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not. I knew to fulfill a calling, I remain a funeral director, but also part of what makes me me is I'm also a husband and a father, and you want to
Mhm.
do that stuff as well as you can.
Right.
And yeah, it's that balancing
Mhm.
of you work in a
Right.
challenging job, but then when is there
I
time
think
for
yeah.
backgammon night? Like, well,
Right. No, and it's really interesting, and it's it's something that I think everyone needs to um prioritizing their life.
sure,
Um,
yeah,
because if you don't make that something that you figure out, you're just going to get lost in the ocean, and it's just going to be like what you just go with everything, and then you don't. Maybe you give less energy to things that you actually need to give more energy to,
right, right,
and it's this really interesting balance. And I've with the help of my wife, like she has helped me tremendously get a
sure,
proper balance, right?
right, right,
Uh, before I was married, I mean, it was nothing for me to be out 6 nights a week.
sure. Oh
And
yeah,
after work, right? It's like, oh yeah, of course. But then all of a sudden it's like, oh well, now as a husband, I need to be a good husband. And
right, yeah.
yeah,
Because like
I was
it's like almost you pretty much have to have that kind of critical level of importance on things, like thinking like, okay,
mhm,
if I mishandle this, are my friends going to be upset with me? Well, that's one thing.
right.
If I mishandle this, am I going to hurt my kids and my wife? It's
Interesting.
almost like, what? Forget the friends. The friends can come later.
Mm,
Wife and kids and family is number one, right?
mm,
And like it and our industry, as well as many industries, is a high divorce rate
right.
because people didn't get it right and they made wrong decisions,
Yeah.
and then you've got broken relationships. And as someone that grew up and through more multiple divorces, it's just the worst for kids. You just don't want to
Right.
be part of that for kids that didn't ask to come into this world, to say, oh, guess what, your whole support
Mm,
universe is now destroyed because we're goofy, selfish adults, and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
But it's
Wow.
it's pretty, like, it's dire stuff, really.
Yeah, yeah. And it's this one life that we're living. Let's try to live it as best as we can,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It ain't no joke.
yeah.
It ain't no joke.
That's one thing that I was talking about at the funeral today, because they were sharing about the excuse me. Sorry. they were sharing about these different qualities of this man, and how he impacted their life. And um, I was just talking to them about, you know what, we he left an impact on your life.
Hmm.
And even after he's died, and in a few years from now, you might not be thinking about him every day, but those things that he impacted your life, those things that were an influence to you, are actually like from him and live on in you, whether or not you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're going to pass those things that he, and those good things that he gave to you, whether or not you think about it, you're going to pass those on to your children and your nieces and nephews. And it's this like lasting impact that we actually have on others in our life, whether we realize it or not.
Right. Right.
And it's like, well, let's prioritize, and let's do our best with the most important things, and put the appropriate amount of energy and devotion into those. And those things that might be a little bit less important, you know, still, if it's something that you enjoy, still try to get around to it once in a while. But you know what, you might have to let some things go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and it's part of maturing too, right? We talked about
I think
wisdom,
so.
wisdom last time, and how Proverbs is just full of, the symptoms of getting older is, God willing, you're getting a little wiser. And sometimes wisdom
Right,
says, yeah, I don't get all my stuff all the time, or I don't even do that anymore. Really? You don't do that? But you used to love to wakeboard or whatever. Like, yeah,
right.
I don't do it. I didn't have time it was getting in the way of my kids and my wife or whatever. I
Yeah,
had to let it
it's
go.
true.
Like, you had to let it go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like the
yeah,
older we get, the less selfish, hopefully, we are. And especially, if you're tapped into, um, you're a follower of the God that's created the universe. You're a
right.
Christian. There's supernatural work that's going on in your heart, and you're chasing something you'll never attain, which is perfection. But man, you
Mm,
should be getting better and stronger right up until you land in the grave. Really.
yeah, you know, I always like the meaning of names. I think it's my name mean Daniel means God is judge, or God is my judge, and I always took that to heart because
Wow.
I thought, even as a kid, I was told, my dad told me, your name means God is judge. And I was like, wow. And so when I was playing in the play yard or in the schoolyard, or with my sisters or whatever it was, um, I knew that I had a standard that needed to be before God and not my peers.
Right.
And so it's like, yeah, that's where I would try to go first. And yeah, I kind of was thinking about that, tying back to what you were saying about prioritizing and stuff. And one thing that I was taught growing up, and I think it's really good, and is like, number one priority would be your eternity,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because if
It's
you
kind of a
believe
one
in
shot
eternity,
deal.
yeah, you have a certain amount of years here on earth, but then I believe in the afterlife, and so you have that eternity to think about. And I believe we're accountable, right, for what we do here on earth.
100%.
So in that aspect, okay, what is God calling me to do, and where's am I going to do my very best? And you know what? I've been called to be a father. I've been called to be a husband. I've been called to be a funeral director, and a friend, and a servant to all. But you know what? Another thing that is really focused on in this world is self care. And there is some truth to that, because if I want to serve everybody the best I can, I also have to make sure I'm maintaining strength
Sure. Oh yeah.
and energy to do what I need to do.
Right.
And I think we care for ourselves so that we can serve and love others well.
Yeah.
I,
For,
I
for
think
sure.
if it just becomes a selfish goal, nah, then just caring for herself just becomes this cycle of selfish
Right.
time and energy spent. and then you're just, I don't know, living for yourself, and it's not that rewarding.
Right. Well, and you've got endless examples of people that their main focus is themselves, and that's never ever going to satisfy them, and they're moving from this thing to that thing to this thing to that thing, and
Right.
you got multi millionaires committing suicide. You think like, geez,
Yeah.
my God, I thought if I had $1 billion, I'd be super happy. Well, it didn't work for
Right.
him or her. And so yeah, there's got to be more going on than just yeah,
Hmm.
self for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah. So, like, try to take care of yourself so that you can serve and love other people, I think.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It may sound kind of I don't know, tiring slash tedious, kind of like, ooh, like every day. Everyone's going to have. Sometimes self care is like, you know what? I'm going offline. I'm turning off the phone. I'm going to a
Hmm.
movie. I'm going to go
Yep.
fishing. And
Yeah.
that's that's no one's expected to be like this like unbelievable monk person that
Yeah.
you're because when you do that, that's how you do burnout. Then you're no good to anybody. You're like
Right.
this empty mannequin kind of thing. But
Yeah. Well, actually, it's interesting that you say that, because I was just speaking with a psychologist friend of mine, and she was asking me, Daniel, how do you prioritize your time? And I thought that was a great question. And what I actually have my day pretty scheduled tight. Like, I get up early. I'm up at around 5. I go and exercise. I go to work. I come home. When I get home, I prioritize my time with my children and my wife, and I try to make the very most of it until it's bedtime for the girls, and then they go down to bed, and then I set aside an hour of time to work on one of my hobbies, or maybe it's the work I'm doing on grief or something or whatever, and I set aside a time to work on that. And then after that hour is done, I put away my laptop, and then my wife and I have our time together, and then hopefully get to bed at a decent time. And uh, and it, it's it's a cycle of that,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I feel like I need that, and it keeps me very well, kind of on track with the things that I need to do.
sure, yeah, because it's easy to drift. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
come out of your routine. You, as in you and all of us, you
hmm,
break your routine. Next thing you're like, oh wow, you're it could really mess you up if
yeah,
the routine itself is as helpful as it sounds like it is for yourself, because it is with
right,
me too. Like I change a couple things and like, where did I leave my wallet? I always walk in, I put my wallet
true,
here, I do
yeah,
the thing, but something
right,
pulled me off track or something, or
uh-huh,
but that's the tricky thing with being a funeral director, because we're not putting the same widget on the same part of the machine every single day.
right,
Sometimes we even have these amazing plans. Okay, tomorrow morning we're going to do this and this and this, and see these families, do this funeral, and bam.
right,
And then at the same time, 3 other calls happen,
right.
and then it's like, okay, change everything. But
Oh yeah, and I'm super open to, within my schedule, for the things in that to be. I go really well with change, right? It's like, oh, this is changing. Okay, no problem. And I find that's kind of like a loose, um, outline of how I would like it to go.
yeah,
And sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I'm tired. I don't want to work on my personal stuff at all. I'm just gonna scroll on
shut it
Instagram,
down.
or
Yeah,
I'm just gonna throw up something on YouTube, or we're just gonna watch a movie or whatever. And yeah, and actually sometimes that's what you need, right?
yeah, yeah. Got to recharge. I'm very comfortable with my own company, so my way to recharge is like just total lone soldier. Like I'll go to a movie by myself,
Okay.
or just go for a walk, whatever. And yeah, I find I'm okay inside my head and my heart by myself.
Right.
But yeah, that's yeah, I know what you mean. You gotta recharge somehow. Some people
Yeah.
recharge the opposite way. They go into a big crowd or go to a big party or something like that, and they get all kind of juiced up with all kinds of sensory kind of. But yeah, I'm definitely the opposite on that. And
I can get excited, but then it's also tiring.
yeah, oh, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Especially if you think you got to be on. I'm looking at the old ticker tape there. We're almost at the 30-minute mark, and I don't know if anybody is going to watch this all the way to the end.
Mm.
Hard to say. Hard to say.
Right.
Could
Well,
you think they
yeah.
could?
I don't know. Probably not. Let's be honest.
Okay, well let's throw this up anyway. So we're telling people now that aren't watching, hey, don't forget to subscribe,
Right.
and you'll get updates, and you can watch every single video. You can share them on the podcast, but probably should do that in the beginning. That's what the pros do. Except
Yeah.
Joe
Yeah.
Rogan, he doesn't have to say that. That's
Yeah.
he's Joe Rogan.
Hash, hashtag Joe Rogan.
Joe
Hashtag,
Rogan.
hey, Joe Rogan, do you want to talk to two funeral directors? Have us on your podcast.
Yeah, click. Yeah.
Anyways, you know
That's a
what?
perfect wrap up. I love it. I love it.
It was a pleasure as always, and please feel free to reach out to any one of us, or both of us, or one of us, and ask a question, and we'd be happy to tackle it.
100%. 100%. Well, Daniel, I think I'll be seeing you probably in the next, the next rotation of the Earth around the sun, type of thing.
Sounds good. We will see you probably almost before the sun gets up.
I love it. I love it. Okay,
All
man.
right,
You
man.
take care.
Have a good one. You too.